Dennis Hicks,
an inmate at Ullman Correctional Facility, Alabama Department of Corrections. Your account balance is $20.93. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press say 9. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hello, Mr. Rudy.
Hello, Mr. Dennis Hicks. How you doing, sir? I did get your letter, and I did scan it. I scanned all 27 pages, I believe, and read it into YouTube in 2 parts, and also it's on your Dropbox. So we did get that, and that's what we...
You got it. I have a question for you. Whenever I sent you my, the brief, I had highlighted some pages for the attorney and I discussed. The scanner didn't black the highlights out, did it? It was able to read the words because it was in pink and yellow and blue. I mean,
yeah, let me just double check on that real quick. Because I think I scanned it, and I didn't scan it myself. I had to take it to a place to scan it because it was so much. Let's see. It turned out to be 4 files, and everything is highlighted. It's just as if you're looking at the real page. They scanned it professionally, and so it's in color, and you can see the highlights and the different colors of highlights and all that.
Okay, so you can read the words in the highlight. That's great. That's good.
Yeah, and it's in four different files, and it's all been posted to your Dropbox and also the Year of Jubilee website.
Okay, great. I appreciate all your help, Mr. Rudy. I'm sorry I made so long of timeline there. In the cell, by yourself, no one to talk to really sometimes. So conversation, you get that monologue going, and it's not really a dialogue, so you get carried away. So I don't have to apologize for writing such long letters.
No, it's no problem. It does take me a little bit of time to go through it, but it's understandable, and I completely can relate. And we did scan the whole thing, and so we got it all. I think the timeline, you mentioned your relationship with God and Jesus, and I'm totally with you there. But the timeline really started on page 12, so that's kind of where I broke it up. I read the first part up till page 12, and then I made that part 1, and I said that's where you talk about your relationship with Jesus, and then page 12 onwards, I called Dennis Hicks' timeline of innocence.
Okay.
So, very good. Anything you want to talk about in particular? If not, I could try to maybe use this time to further clarify the timeline and make like an abbreviated version, but it's completely up to you on what you think is important.
Well, I appreciate the audience. Your followers keep me in your prayers because God is answering daily, protection, deliverance, and stuff. And I do want to go viral. If anybody wants me to give an interview, they can get on my visiting list, and I'll do it here in prison in person. I've asked God for the green light, and He's given me His approval to go to the body of Christ, and the secular. So if it's a major network, I'm willing to come to the poster board for wrongfully incarcerated, nationwide or global for that matter. So if anybody has direct names with maybe TBN or Daystar or any of the major secular TVs like 48 Hours, 2020, 60 Minutes, Nightline, if they'll send me the address, I'll write them directly, or if they send my information to them, they contact me, and maybe that connection can get some exposure there. So I appreciate everybody willing to rally up and spearhead the gathering of both information in Chicago, because the child was there, and both my whereabouts, alibi there in Mobile, it shouldn't be really that hard. It's just that the state attorneys, they didn't do it. And I've actually been working here the last week or so on a brief to submit to the appeal court as a supplemented amendment to the original brief, because I do believe the lawyers made so many false promises and didn't deliver, in so many areas, no expert witnesses, over 60 people that had promised this opinion, and they didn't let about 10 of them speak. The other ones, they kept outside the courtroom, but they were there in the building, wanted to defend the truth and go in there and state it, but they didn't call them. And then so many things that they were supposed to have gotten documents to do that they didn't do. So it's a whole lot there. So anybody willing to get involved with time and energy and efforts and everything to help exonerate me, that would be great. But I appreciate everybody's love and prayers, and I'm a little over 2 years here, almost 7 years. September be 7 years, so I don't think it's going to be very much longer. I believe the reversal is going to come this year, and if they try me again, I would like to have preserved the proper evidence of absolute truth to show my innocence and get it all behind me, and whatever God's destiny for me is, to move forward with my life.
Well, our prayers are with you, Mr. Hicks, regarding viral. I mean, we're just a small channel, and I do pray that somebody that has a huge microphone picks up your case and starts to look deeper into it. I have not figured out the secret to going viral. I simply have not figured that out. And what I have seen is anybody that puts out like biblical doctrine or truthful information, they get suppressed on YouTube, suppressed on Facebook. They don't allow that sort of information to go viral. But God can work miracles. We both know that we serve a mighty living God who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and he can do anything. So our job is to have faith unto death.
Amen. We'll put it in his hands and ask him to decree it in the throne room of heaven and manifest it here in the natural through the binding and loosening, because we do have the authority in his name and his blood in Scripture to bind whatever is unlawful and improper down here on earth and loose whatever is lawful and proper in heaven down here. So in the name of Jesus, let God's will be done, that it will go as big as it is, how big as God wants it to be, because it really is bigger than just me. It's a tragedy that they have me here, but it's more than just about Dennis. It's about all the good that I can do and all the good that God can do through me, and wrong is wrong no matter who does it. And I really do believe most of the people down there in my own county are decent, good, law-abiding citizens. Misguided Lieutenant Andrew Peake, he poisoned, polluted their minds and told them so many lies that, yeah, he got his promotion, yeah, he got all that raise and got his awards and stuff, but he did convict an innocent man, and that truth is going to come out. Hallelujah.
Amen. Amen, amen. Well, it's up to you, Mr. Hicks. I've got your, last time we talked about the timeline, I didn't have a pencil and paper, and I was kind of, trying to juggle several things. But right now I'm at a desk with a pencil and paper. I don't know if you want to go through that again, or if you have other things that you want to, concern. I want you to use your time wisely,
Yes. Whatever direction you want to go is fine with me. I actually met the man through the church. I used to go to Power of God Worship Center on Light Road, and my mother had summoned me back to Mobile in 2005 to be her full-time caregiver. She was a member of the church, so quite naturally, me taking her in the wheelchair and everything there for better than a year when she could get around, I got to meet a lot of people. When she passed on in 2006, I stayed there. I stayed there the whole additional 5 years until I got arrested. Well, I had several positions in the church. Not only was I in the choir and the usher and elder and with the funerals and just a lot of gathering, working on the inside on the cleanup duties and stuff like that. The lady in the choir was the aunt to the young man that is the victim in the crime, Joshua Duncan. I met him through her because he visited her sometimes with the grandmother in a church. They were in the church, I'd say maybe 15, 16 miles in the next little town called Wilmer. Well, over the years, by sight, I could recognize him. I didn't know him, you know what I'm saying? I just was kind of like acquainted with him. But because God led me to do so many jobs for different widows, this particular widow, his grandmother, Dorothy Hudson, she asked me to do some to work for her, and I poured 7.5 yards of concrete over 300, maybe 400 anchor bolts, and did all the plumbing for a bathroom and stuff free of charge. And this is when I met Josh, where he come out and helped me 5, 6, 7, 8 days, however long it was. I didn't charge her anything. She gave me a 1,000-man ticket to a gathering in Dolphin Island, a Parkway Baptist Church in Mobile, one of the biggest churches down there. So she asked me would I mentor him for this 3-day event. I said, sure. And so went down there, and it was a great service and everything. So from time to time, when I was going around doing things, I would spot check her and see how they were doing. Well, over the years, I seen him at church, talked to him, knew him on a first name basis. So the grandmother tried to get me to let him live with him because I had a 3-bedroom home, and she knew I was a bachelor and I lived alone, and let people stay with me and my family and do the church. Just, they needed a weekend somewhere, stay. I would put them up. Well, I had turned her down several times. In 2011, around June, she came to me I'm coming out of the regional bank and stopped at the post office. She pulled up beside me. She said, Brother Hicks, I want to talk to you. I want my granddaughter out of my house. Her and her boyfriend and baby, I can't take them no more. And her granddaughter's name is Savannah. And I asked Savannah, what's going on? And Savannah told me that she was using drugs and she couldn't help it, and she couldn't stop. And the grandma didn't like it, and they was having a big argument. Well, sir, I was on a life sentence from Mississippi, and I was within a half a year of getting my pardon after 30-something years. And I didn't want to tell him, look, I'm on parole. So I said, look, I have to pray about this, but I don't think I can take you and him. Y'all not married, and I wouldn't want y'all living under my house not being married. So I went to my pastor, gave my pastor $100, and said, look, this lady's ditching her granddaughter. I don't want them to sleep out on the street tonight. Call her up, talk to her, and find somebody that can take them in, that I wasn't willing to take them in. Well, a couple of months later, I went over and spot checked her house to see if she was doing okay and everything. She had a big argument with her grandson. His name Joshua. Well, he showed me all kind of ant bites and insect bites and mosquito bites and things. He said, man, I've been sleeping in the ditch all night tonight. I'm not going to live with her. I'm not going in there. Will you please help me? And I found 3 times. They was arguing so bad when I left that the Holy Spirit told me, and some people may just say this is your gut or your instincts or your intuition, but my conscience says, look, Dennis, go back and help the young man. So I went back and I said, okay, look, Josh, I will help you for a few weeks, a month or two. I'll help you get your driver's license. I'll help you get your food stamp. I'll help you sit up on your feet. Next month, I'm going to have the yearly Great State Fairs coming, and I hire anywhere between 8 to 10, sometimes 12 people. And if you want to work with me, I'll give you $1,000, which is my standard pay for people that work the whole 10 days. Sometimes it's 6 hours, sometimes it's 8 hours. On the weekends, it could be 10 to 12 hours, but they could eat all they want to eat, because it's a ministry. We witness for Jesus, pass out tracts, and don't turn anybody down at the fair that don't have any money. Drug addicts and stuff come up, they broke. We give them hamburgers, hot dogs, corn dogs, whatever. So we all 3 sat down and discussed it and agreed with doing this. So I would let him bring all this major stuff like big TV sets and fishing poles, and he had, I think, a rifle and all this. I'm not allowed to have guns in my house because I'm on parole. So I said, look, just bring 2 suitcases, and I got a job I got to finish today, and during the next coming few weeks, we'll come back and get some of this other stuff, and you can sell it or whatever you want to do with it. So we did that. We left there. We went to my older sister's house. I had just cut down 12 big trees. We're talking some of them 20, 25 inches around. She gave me $1,000. She'd already paid me $600, and I was going over to pick up $400. When I went there, she says, hey, I want a few more and a bunch of shrubs on this side of the property. Will you take care of that? It won't take about a half a day. So I said, well, I got to work with him. We'll do it right now. So Josh and I worked, I think 3.5 hours. I gave him $30. She gave him whatever she gave him, and she paid me the money she owed me, and we left. During this time, now this is August the 31st. September the 1st, next day I took him over to the food stamp out of my interview and application. When he was back there with the interview, the lady called me back there, and she said, "This young man says he's moving in with you. Is this true?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. He was at his grandma. They're having a big confusion. He wants to be independent on his own, so I'm going to help get his driver's license. I can't use my car because I had a wreck. My headlights are broken. It won't pass the driver's license inspection. But yes, he can live with me for a few months." She said, "Well, I want you to write this down on paper and sign it." Well, I did. Well, he made his statement. He signed his statements, and we left. She gave him a date, I think 2 days later, to come back and process it, and she approved him. But from that time, he went around with different places to be working, and the main place I was working at was Regina North's house. This is my stepsister from a married. My dad was married to her mom way back in the late 60s and mid 70s. My dad passed away in 81, so he was married to her maybe 11, 12, 13 years, however long it was. Well, I hadn't really grew up with her. I didn't know her. She kind of like was in another family, but her mom was married to my dad. So she's going to my church. She's a widow, and her son and her daughter-in-law both in jail. Well, she has 3 small children that she can't handle. She's on medicine because she's got different types of illnesses and stuff, and her car was messed up, so I offered to give her some rides back and forth to church, and that's how it begun. And this is like 2010 with her, but moving forward into 2011, the September part, I'll go over there, take them to church in different places, to the zoo and everything. Well, this particular Friday, I went over there and worked for her the first Friday of September. Josh was with me. I had already finished the porch, and some guy that she had hired had ripped her off. He didn't finish the roof, but she had the material to finish the roof. So I said, "I can do it. I'll do it for you." And me and Josh was working on the roof. Well, and we did spend the night there with her. In fact, we spent the night there, I think it was 4 nights in a row.
Is that you stayed at Regina? You're talking about Regina Norris's house, right?
Right.
Okay.
Her neighbor has a surveillance video camera of 6. Hello, we get cut off?
No, you're here. You're here.
Okay. The neighbor has a surveillance camera with 6 views, and 2 of the views has her driveway and her front porch. So there was evidence to show that Nye coming and goings and Josh coming and goings and the activities of what's going on there at both properties. Well, that Saturday, we all went swimming. I took Regina. She only has 2 grandkids with her now. She has Alicia and Bubba. The little baby, Chance, June of that year, she sent to Chicago because she couldn't handle all 3 of them. And the grandmother wouldn't take all 3 of them in Chicago. She only took the one, and she took the smallest one. Well, we went swimming, and Regina said, "Look, this lady owes me $30 from babysitting a couple of weeks ago. We stopped by there and pick up the money." I said, "Sure, on the way swimming, we'll get it." So I pulled into Frank and Robin Dickens' home right off of Schillinger's Road. And they have a little girl that's, I think she might have been 7, but she's 6 or 7 years old. Her name is Hannah. She met Alicia for the first time. They hit it off, and she wanted to go swimming with Hannah. And Mr. Frank and Miss Robin said, "Okay, as long as Regina and you take care of her, watch her, supervise and stuff." We agreed, so she went swimming with us. All right, it was Regina, Josh, me, and those 3 kids. Well, they liked it so much after I took them out to eat, and I took them back to Robin and Frank's house. The little girl wanted to stay with her and go to church with us the next day. So they agreed for her to have a sleepover. This was the 3rd child at the residence. They said okay and agreed to do it. So I went back to Regina's house with those 3 kids, Josh and Regina. My sister, who had a meltdown from her husband getting killed many years ago. She was at Searcy State Hospital. She called and said, hey, they agreed that I could have another weekend furlough. Will you please come get me? So I asked Regina, hey, look, you know how it is up there. She's there, and nobody goes through but me, and won't nobody help her. Do you mind if she comes and spends the night here with us? She said, sure. So I went and got my sister from Searcy. We had a good time that night. Went to church the next day. Now my church starts Sunday school.
Well, let me just clarify. So you went swimming on the second Saturday of September of 2011. Is that the swimming date?
It's the first Saturday. It's September the 2nd.
Okay, the first Saturday of.
Excuse me. It's September the 3rd.
September the 3rd.
The first day of September was a Thursday. The second day was a Friday, and the third was a Saturday, and the fourth was a Sunday.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, so you went swimming on September the 3rd of 2011. Okay, I got it. All right.
With all of them, we went back to Regina's house after we got permission from Robin and Frank. Okay. Mr. Frank had promised me whenever I got out on bond that he would testify that Josh tried to sell him a utility trailer. Josh tried to sell it to several people in the neighborhood the month prior before he moved in with me. But I actually bought it at the end of August. But here we are at church on that Sunday. My sister says she don't want to stay with me. Would I please take her to her son and her grandbabies in Foley, Alabama, which is, right across the bay. As I called him up and I asked him, I say, is it all right for your mom to come see the grandbabies? He said, yeah, she could spend the night with me. I said, okay. So me, Josh, and my sister Phyllis, after church, we took Hannah back to Robin and Frank. I took Regina back with her two kids to her house, and Josh, my sister Phyllis, and I went over to Foley. We left. Did the phone hang up? Hello?
No, you're here. You're here. Just curious. Before we get into you're taking this trip to Foley on Sunday right after church. But just curious, where did you go swimming? Was there like a lake or a public swimming pool or?
It is. It's called Chickasaw Park, and you pay $1 to get in, and it has one of those man lifts where you stop the car, give it to the guy in the booth, and he raises it up and let your car in. It's a pretty big park, and it's
okay.
It's got its own private bathrooms and amusement thing where kids to play, and
gotcha.
It's pretty nice set up. Got a lot of boat ramps and stuff like that, and a lot of campsite. So it's kind of like the biggest one around down there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you were on September the 4th. You're after church. You've taken Hannah back to her parents, I guess. Right. And you're going to take Regina with her two children, and that would be Alicia and Bubba back home, and you're fixing to go to Foley, Alabama.
Right. There is one correction there.
Okay.
Hannah is Frank and Robin's granddaughter.
Oh, I see.
They
Okay.
legal custody of her, but they call her their daughter, but in reality, it's a granddaughter.
Okay.
Their daughter got on drugs, and they took her from her daughter, so they have the child in their custody. She grew up with them, and she's with them now. So,
okay.
Just clear technical things.
Gotcha. Okay.
Whenever I speak in general like that, they say, well, you're misrepresenting, and I really do want to be transparent. I want any discrepancy cleared up, so any technicalities, well, he didn't say it right.
No, I understand.
I consider it the daughter, but in reality, it's the granddaughter.
I got you.
Phyllis and Josh and I left and come over to Foley. We passed Phyllis's medicine, clothes, and everything to her son. Her son's name is Lawrence Cook. Okay? He has 3 children by one marriage and 2 children by another marriage. So he has 5 children there. Several of them come out and talk to me. His oldest daughter that come out was Samantha, and then Cook Jr. come out. Well, Samantha's boyfriend and her had got into a big thing, and they were going to make her go to boot camp for 3 or 4 months because he gave her a joint to hold, and when the police drove up, she gave the police the joint, but he charged her with it. But she was telling me all of this, and I stayed there until it got dark. The weather had a hurricane named Dennis hitting the coast. This day, winds and everything. It wasn't a major one, it was a mild one. And when you're down here, you're kind of used to them, so you can kind of gauge the big ones from the little ones. The little ones don't really bother you that much. You don't board up windows or anything. But anyway, I schooled her and talked to her about she shouldn't be running with the guy if he's going to be smoking weed and stuff. She could do better than that. Well, long story short, Josh and I left her. When we left, we went back to Alabama. But before we went back to Alabama, we went down there and checked out the beach, see the storm coming. Things were closed, wasn't nothing to see and all. So, like took our time. It wasn't no speeding around or doing anything. And I think the police said the phone record showed I stopped and got gas and talked to my sister on my cell phone, which, since they said it happened, I believe it happened. And me and my sister talks all the time. Well, on my way back home, after I got back into Mobile, my sister calls me and tells me, this is my sister Christine Coker. She calls me and tells me, hey, a friend of mine called and said that our brother-in-law's house is on fire. I said, you got to be kidding. She says, we don't know if it's his, but she's walking down the street. I got her on the phone. She's talking to me. I'll call you back and let you know. Well, the police records reflect that she and I talked 38 different times that night. And it sounds like a lot, but my phone was running low, so she would talk 30 seconds to a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, and we would call back and forth. And every time she would give me a little bit more, probably around 9:30, 9:45, 9:10, whatever time it was, she confirmed and said, yes, it's his house on fire. I'm going over there. I said, well, do you want me to turn around and go back, or do you want me to park and you pick me up and me ride with you? She said, no, I got my husband, my daughter, and my son-in-law. The car's already full. So she took off and went over there. By this time, I'm already at my house when she calls, and she said, it is his house, and they don't know if he's here or not. They're putting the fire out. So this big drama was huge, Mr. Rudy, because I was close to my brother-in-law. He was one of the people that hired me, and even though I had maybe 12 solid people that paid me good money. We're talking anywhere from $15 to $20, $25 an hour, because the labor was worth it and they was financially able to do it. Most of the widows that I helped, regardless if they were men or women, they was on fixed income and they barely could get their medicine and groceries and stuff. So if I cut a tree down or paint a house or do their roof, I don't charge them, because God had blessed me with so much prosperity that I only needed $2,500, $3,000 to cover my bills all month, and I could make that week and answer the other 2.5 weeks. I would minister and do things that I believe God wanted me to do. Well, that night when she called, my phone got so low. I told her, look, I'm going to Walmart and get me a card. Walmart didn't have the card, so I went to Regina's house. And I told Regina, look, my Christine's over there. She's going to be calling me. Walmart didn't have a phone card, and I don't want my phone cut off. I got maybe a minute left. I'm going to be using your phone. Is it okay? And she said, yes. The phone records at Regina's house shows that when they told me all the information, I started calling different people in my family. My brother in Mississippi, my other cousins there in Mobile. So different ones was all getting on the news that this tragedy had happened.
Well, let me ask you, what day are we talking about now? In September?
Monday night, first Sunday of September.
Okay, that would be September the 5th, right? September the 5th.
No, I believe it's going to be the 4th.
Well, I'm looking at a calendar for 2011 for September. The 3rd is a Saturday, the 4th is a Sunday, and the 5th is a Monday.
Okay, so it's going to be the 4th.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying it's a Sunday? All this is happening on a Sunday with a fire?
Right, Sunday night. We're talking. She started calling me somewhere around 9:30, somewhere from 9:30 to 10. By the time the fire marshal confirms that it's my brother-in-law and that he has died in the fire, it's right around the neighborhood of 11:45 or midnight or a little after 12. But I'm calling from Regina's house, and they confirmed that it was an occupant in the house and a dog in the house. Well, we're presuming that it's my brother-in-law because no one else lived in the house but him. So I started calling all the family members and stuff. Well, that night was a big...
1 minute remaining.
Uh-oh. I'll call you back, okay?
Okay, that sounds good if you can, and we'll pick up Sunday night where the fire, and it sounds like your brother-in-law lost his life.
Right, and that's where the lieutenant started going around telling everybody that I did it. But Lord have mercy, we were so close, he loved me so much that it's just preposterous that that lieutenant would go around and spread that type of lies. And we left Regina's house early that morning, went back to my house. We both went to sleep because we were up most of the night with the phone calls with my family. Well, Monday is kind of a blur to me, but when I woke up, Josh had walked off, and I didn't know if somebody had come picked him up or what, so I called his grandmother and asked her, hey, did he come back over there picking up his furniture, his belongings? And she says, no. I said, well, he's gone. He must have walked off. Well, I waited around for a while. He didn't come, so I put a note on the door telling him where I was going to call me. If he come back, he wanted to go over to Regina's or stay at my house. Whatever he wanted to do was okay with me. Well, I let...
Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Dennis Hicks.
an inmate at
Holman Correctional Facility, Alabama Department of Corrections.
your account balance is $13.09. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
So yeah, Dennis. Hello, Mr. Dennis. So let me just, because I think you know this story so well that for people that are trying to come up to speed like me, I may have to just ask a few clarifying questions. So on September the 4th, which was a Sunday, you went to church. You dropped off the granddaughter Hannah to Frank and Robin. You're going to Foley, Alabama, but where were you at? Where were you leaving from?
I lived in Sims in West Mobile.
Okay.
Mobile County, Foley's in Baldwin County, so it's about a 45, depending on traffic on Interstate I-10. Within an hour, you can get over there.
Okay. Okay. So
I didn't take the ferry. I
okay.
Interstate.
You drove. Okay. So after church, you take Phyllis and Josh. Phyllis is your sister, right? Right. Okay. Phyllis is your sister. Phyllis and Josh and Dennis go from Sims, Alabama to Foley, Alabama. You stay there around midnight or so, around 9:30. You realize there was a fire. You're trying to learn about.
No. Back up. We stayed till after dark, and it's probably 8, 7:30, 8, whatever, 9. I think they have the phone record of me stopping at the gas station at 9:30, talking to my sister somewhere in there. But I was back home by 10, I believe, and between 10 and midnight, my sister confirmed that it was my brother-in-law that passed away. So I leave my house. My neighbors are asleep, so I didn't want to wake them up. So I went to Walmart to get a card. Walmart didn't have the particular card for my phone. Regina's house is like 6 miles from the Walmart and only like 10 miles from my house. So I went to her house. She let me use her phone, and this is where I'm at on Sunday night at midnight, which is early Monday morning. And I'm up all night. I think my sister come back from Foley at 3 o'clock in the morning with her house, and I didn't go to her house. We kept talking back and forth on the phone and all. But when daylight broke, Josh and I left Regina's house and went back to my house. Okay. He went to sleep. I went to sleep. I woke up and went in my backyard and started gathering up stuff because Regina and I had.
Well, who's? I'm sorry to ask so many questions, and please be patient with me. But when you went to Foley, who lives in Foley? Who did you go visit in Foley again?
This is my sister's son, my nephew. His name is William Cook. He owns his own dump truck company. He got a couple dump trucks.
Okay.
He hauls gravel and stuff for a living. She wants to spend time on this particular weekend with the grandbabies, her grandbabies. And since he okayed it, and this was a rare event because they usually want to do this, and he said, okay, I'll keep her overnight. and it really was okay. This is great because we're working with my sister to get her back well on good medicine where she can be independent out in society again and stuff. So I was glad to take her over there. Had he said, no, I just want to see her for an hour or two, I would have done just that. But
okay, I got you. Okay, so I'm just trying to get. So you're at Foley, Alabama, with William Cook's. I guess it's his house, right? William Cook, and he's. Can you explain? Who's at Foley again? You said William Cook, but how's he relate? He's your sister. He's Regina Norris's husband.
No, he's my nephew.
Nephew.
Phyllis Lister.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Phyllis Lister.
Okay.
You have to understand, Mom and Dad was married almost 30 years, 29 years. She had 10 kids. I'm the last of 10.
Okay.
My daddy remarried Regina's mother about 8, 9 years, whatever, however long it was later it was. Her mother is my stepmother when I was a small child.
Okay.
I didn't know Regina because she didn't live at home. She's a lot older than me. So when I say Regina's my sister, I'm referring to her as my stepsister. When I refer to Phyllis Lister, she's my full-blooded sister, and Christine Copeland, she's my full-blooded sister.
Okay. But so at Foley, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I don't want to, but I just want to make sure I'm clear so I can repeat this story when people ask me. But when you're spending the night from Sunday night to Monday, are you spending the night at William Cook's, your nephew's house? Did you and Josh and Phyllis stay there all night?
No,
we
passed Phyllis over. I talked to his children outside, and she was telling me about her troubles as a teenager. I think she was 17 years old, 18 or somewhere around in there. And we left her after it got dark.
Okay.
But we got over there around 6:30 because, like I say, my church let out at 5, but we left early. I dropped Hannah off, and it was around 5:30. We took off somewhere around that neighborhood. By the time I got to Foley, it was 6:30, 6:45, or whatever. And then I stayed there for an hour or so, however long it was. When it was dark, we left. They got me on the phone at the gas station at 9 something. So Foley's right close to Gulf Shores, big beach and everything. And we wanted to check out the hurricane that was coming in. Everything was closed down, wasn't no traffic, wasn't nothing to see. And also, we left, and on the way back, there's a road that you take that it's out. Alabama and Florida touch on the state line, and they have a little. It's a house converted into a store, but they sell lottery tickets. But anyway, the store was closed. We didn't get a lottery ticket or anything. So that was the route that I had went back to Mobile. And by the time I got into Mobile County, 9:30, 9:45, whatever it was, my sister called me and told me her friend said that her son was jogging down the road and somebody's house on fire. They don't know who it is. So my sister asked her, please go down and see if it's my brother-in-law.
Now, okay, so when you say your sister called you, was that your stepsister, Regina, or your full sister? It had to be your stepsister, Regina, right?
No, it's my full sister, Christine Copeland. She was his nurse, and she had an ongoing working relationship with him. Plus, he's our brother-in-law. Plus, I'm his handyman.
Gotcha. Okay, and okay.
I do all kind of work for him over the last several years, and sometimes I spend the weekend with him. How
far does he? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Our oldest sister, Barbara Jean, was married to him, and that's how he's related to us by marriage. And she had passed away in 2009, I believe it was.
Well, how far does your brother-in-law live from you? The one who died in the fire.
He lives in Gulf Shores. I live in Mobile.
How far is that? I mean,
it's a good. It's all the way across the interstate. It's all across the bay. It's in another county. He lives probably 30, 40 miles beyond where.
I see. Oh, Lieutenant Andrew Peake tried to blame you for starting the fire, right? I mean, but you have evidence of every.
They never said anything. No, they never said anything that I started the fire or anything like that. But when he was investigating, because I forgot to tell him and I didn't remember stopping at the gas station and talking to my sister on the phone. He asked me to tell him, tell me what you did on Sunday night. I said, well, I took Josh rode with me. I took my sister to her son, Mr. Cook, who we call Lawrence, it's his first name. And I sat there and talked with his daughter and kids, and everything got dark. We left and went checked out the beach and come on back home. I never stopped anywhere to anybody else's house, and I didn't tell him in the interview that I stopped at the gas station. It's my fault. I talked in general. I should have been more specific, but anyway, I didn't. And from that incident, and this is the next year later, that when he goes and interviews my family, he told at least 12 people that I know of, your brother or your nephew or your uncle. He killed the guy, my brother-in-law's name is Charles Senius. He said he killed Charles. He even went to Charles' family, to his brother and his sister-in-law, and then he said, I'm opening this investigation, but because I'm a detective in another county, I have to go to the sheriff in Baldwin County in the corner and tell all of these people that Mr. Hicks killed this man. Well, he actually did go over there and that propaganda lie, and they said, look, this man autopsy is crystal clear. He wasn't shot, stabbed, or anything. He died of it's a heart attack, but they have a medical term for how he died, and it was a natural death. It was no foul play, none whatsoever. But he can't take this lie back after he didn't tell all these people. So it bothered me. It upset me. And I when the people call me and, hey, this police is telling us that you did this, I said, Lord have mercy, he's making it up.
Yeah.
And anyway. That's one of the big issues at trial, because I wrote my niece Samantha, and I said, look, you know that I stayed there and talked to you for hours or however long it was. I told you that I was working for my stepsister at Regina's house, and that I had been doing work for several different people. I did tell her I had worked for my brother-in-law, but my brother-in-law, me going to his house or anything, that never was even in a discussion option or anything. So the letter that I wrote her, I said, look, be truthful, tell the truth, remember the best you can, and tell them what you know. Well, my nephew was subpoenaed to court. When he come to court, the day of the trial, he gives this letter to the DA. The DA reads it and says, okay, we want to put this in an exhibit. So my lawyers read it and the judge read it, and the letter simply stating, look, tell the truth, I'm going to subpoena you on my side because my alibi on Sunday night, where I was at, sending bringing your grandmother to y'all. Well, they, part of the letter where I would say, look, this lieutenant is going around telling everybody that I'm some kind of homicidal maniac, serial killer, that I'm killing my family and everybody. It's not true. Well, the judge ordered the DA take that part out. Well, they took most of that part out. They didn't take all of it out, so my lawyers objected to the jury hearing it. I didn't. I honestly stood up for myself and hadn't did any of the wrong. It was the police that was doing the lying, going around spewing venom, polluting people's mind, and with his bias and prejudice, hatred, self-greed, trying to get ahead. He's trying to put all this blame on me, and I'm not at fault with none of this. Well, anyway, that's a big issue with the trial, because they had over 100 and something, and the lawyers filed on, I think, 25, 26, however many it was. Continued the timeline. When I left that Sunday night, I went back to my house. My sister confirmed that it was my brother-in-law. I left my house and went to Regina. By midnight, I'm at Regina's house, and I'm talking to my sister. We stay up all night. I'm calling different people on the phone, telling them the tragedy that our brother-in-law at the house is burned up. I go back to my house, go to sleep. Josh goes to sleep. I wake up. I'm out in the backyard, and I'm taking care of stuff. Because me and Regina got a deal. Her brother-in-law is dying outside Atlanta, Georgia. He's in a wheelchair, but he don't have a lamp to his house, and he telling her, climb to her on the phone, and she said, would I go up there and build a lamp for him? I said, sure, but I have to have permission, so I'm going to go to the parole officer and ask, can I go up there? And Regina's kind of poor and everything, and I said, look, you have to tell him that I'm going to get paid for this, so we'll come up whatever money you give me as expenses, and won't charge you much. Just give me $100, $150, whatever you come up with, and I'll bill him $1,000, $2,000 around. He's in a wheelchair, he needs to get in and out of his place. So we agreed to do that. So this is what I'm gathering up in my mind, my life. What's occupying my mind. I'm selling stuff at the flea market at the stockyard. Well, I had already purchased the trailer from Josh the prior month in August. So the trailer is not in my backyard, it's in Regina's backyard. This is where we paint it, put tail lights on it, sand it and grind it and do everything, change the tire, a couple of them was rotten. All the things that I've done to the trailer, I've done at Regina's house. Well, Josh went to the store, and I had went back in and went back to sleep. He went to the store, and I didn't know it, so I called his grandmother, and his grandmother said, no, he's not here. I said, well, I'll call you back. I left a note on the door, waited for me, and when I left, he was coming back from the store. So when I picked him up, I said, look, I just called your grandma. I didn't know where you was at, left a note, and anyway, when you get to Regina's house, call your grandma. Okay. He said yes, but he had a beef with his grandma. He didn't like the way she treated him, and she didn't like the way he was cussing her or whatever it was, and they had a squabble. Well, at Regina's house, because of the tragedy that was going on in my personal life, the day was in a daze, kind of, because it ain't like I passed out or blanked out or anything. It's just that I'm over there, and I'm crying, and the two little kids are consoling me, and Regina's sitting there, and different family members stop over there. People, we talk and everything. Well, Phyllis calls, or rather her son, Rocky, calls and says, look, I can't handle her. She's not talking sensible, and I don't want her around my kids talking about. She thinks Elvis Presley wants to marry her, and it's a child thing. It ain't dangerous or anything. She just likes to talk about Elvis being her husband. Well, anyway, he called me up. I said, well, okay, look, give me a couple hours. I'm over here eating, and I'm over here with family members. I've already called him and told him the tragedy about my brother-in-law dying the day before. So he said, okay, I'll meet you somewhere halfway. What about a McDonald's over there at Spanish Ford? I said, okay, I'll call you on the way and tell you I'm on the way. You call me and tell me. So anyway, long story short, I meet him. My radiator in my car, Josh and me and my neighbor, that last Friday or Thursday of August, we did a pull-out. We pulled the old radiator out and went and bought a new radiator from a junkyard and put it in. Anyway, I was up under the car, working on the car. He drove up with Phyllis. Well, I'm all sweaty and everything. And by the way, Josh stayed at Regina's. I went and got Phyllis by myself. He rode over there with me the first time, just sightseeing and stuff, but he's staying with Regina and the kids Monday evening. Well, I picked up Phyllis. We talked for a few minutes about my brother-in-law dying.
Well, this is all happening on Monday, right? This is happening on September.
Right. It's a visit, and we like 15 minutes, 20 minutes there at the.
Okay. And what is the brother-in-law's name? What is the brother-in-law's name who died in the fire? I know you told me before, but.
Charles Senius.
Senius. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Phyllis and I leave there, and I take her to my sister's house named Christine Copeland. She lives in Satsuma, Alabama, which is another 25 or 30 miles beyond my house and Regina's house. I don't even stop over there where they at or anything. I tell Phyllis, look, I'm got a lot going on. I'm going to have to take you back early, because she had a pass until Tuesday night. And this has been the first time that I'm going to bring her back early, but a lot was going on. So I take her to Christine's house. We have a little snack, eat a little something, talk, visit for a minute. It gets dark. So I take Phyllis back to Cersei, but we don't go in my car. we go in my sister's car. She's got one of those big Hummers she likes to drive and stuff. So we left there, and it's well after 7 o'clock on Monday. This is the timeline that the district attorney told, or assistant district attorney Jennifer Wright tells the jury. Mr. Hicks and Josh was in a fight. He killed him between 7 and 11 on Monday, which it totally never happened. Wasn't true. Christine, Phyllis, and I left her house and went to Cersei. Cersei's in Mount Vernon. It's about a 35, depending on traffic, time from her house to Cersei. Now, I'm on surveillance video camera from the watchtower inside of Cersei. I signed a roster. I signed a report sheet how good Phyllis was, that she stayed with her son, but passed the clothes and the mess and everything over to the nurses. At least 2 nurses and 3 security guards at that facility saw me. I showed them my driver's license. I signed my signature, put all the information on the roster report, and we leave. I can't say if it was 5 minutes to 8 or 10 minutes after 8, but the log roster has got it down. The video has got it down. I mean, the lawyers should have a subpoena like they promised me they would. They said they would, but they lied to me. They didn't do it. So Christine and I leave. I go back to her house in Satsuma, another 20, 25, 30 minutes, depending on traffic. I sit there and talk with her for a while, so I leave. Now I'm headed back towards my house because I got a dog that has 5 puppies and I want to check on my property because I've been to Foley, been gone for hours because I was over there at Regina's house and she had some company they were eating. Even though my brother-in-law had died, I still was around people and, some festivities with her life and everything. So I stopped at Regina's house. I said, look, I took Phyllis back. Didn't want to bring her back over here. She's okay. Everything's all right, but too much is going on. So I said, I'm going over to my house to check on my puppies and my property and stuff. And Josh followed you and said, I'll go with you, man. So we leave there. We leave Regina's house, and I stop at Walmart on Moffett and Schillinger's Road, that corner right there. The Walmart that's right there. Josh and I both go into Walmart. We own Walmart's video cameras. The detective in his investigation got that picture. Remember now, they got that picture of Josh and I, and it's either a 9:34 or 9:43 time clock on the surveillance camera picture. But they don't use this picture. They don't surrender it and give it to the jury because she says in the lie to the jury, their theory is from 7 to 11, I'm in this royal fight. All right? Well, anyway, we go back outside in the parking lot, and the guy that parked his car beside my car had his vehicle stolen. He was a worker in another shipyard, and because I worked at shipyards, I talked with him and I even offered him a ride. And he was in Theodore. He said, no, police is on the way. I'm going to make a report. Well, Regina calls me, or I think she called me. It's somewhere inside the store, outside the store. Regina called me and asked me to pick up something for one of the babies. I don't really remember what it is. But anyway, I went back into Walmart. Josh stayed out there and talked to this guy. When I come back out of Walmart, we left. All right. I told the lawyers, look, there's a police report. This man, who I don't even remember his name, and he's I don't know if it's a bad way to say it, but we call it Cajun. It's a Creole guy. He's got a Spanish mama or a black mama and a white parent, or vice versa. It's a mixed race person.
Yeah, right.
Well, I asked the lawyers to look on the police report, and whatever his name was that reported his, I don't even know what, SUV truck, whatever it was that was stolen, to show him our pictures and asked him that he remembers, because Josh has got what you call a mohawk haircut.
Yeah.
He's 24 years old. He's a grown man. The man would have remembered us, talking to us, because it was only a few months later, when the lawyers are getting this information out of me. It wasn't a memory thing, and it a long time he wouldn't have forgotten. I mean, who forgets when their car is stolen? Well, they didn't do it. Well, anyway, Josh and I go back to Regina's. Everybody leaves. Now we only got Regina, her 2 grandbabies, Alicia, Bubba, Josh, and me. She's got 3 bedrooms. All right. Josh and the little baby boy, they're in the back bedroom. Alicia and Regina's in a bedroom, and I'm in a bedroom. I told the police about 4 or 5 o'clock. I went in the kitchen to get a drink out of the refrigerator, and it could have been 3:30. I don't know. I woke up and was thirsty. Well, Josh had come out of the back bedroom. He was in the front living room watching TV and had the TV on an X-rated show or an R-rated show. It was a skin picture. You know, they have a section.
Now, is this 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the night?
In the morning.
Oh, and so this is Tuesday. We've gone into Tuesday morning then.
Right.
Okay.
All right. I walk in there, see him, he's masturbating. All right. I said, look, man, that's unacceptable. You can't do that in here. What if the kids walk in? What if Regina walk in here, man? She's her generosity and kindness, and it wasn't a big argument. It never become a fight. It never, with no kind of blows or any of that ever occurred, none whatsoever. But anyway, he was up getting daybreak and everything. I woke Regina up. I said, look, I'm thinking me and Josh are going back to my house. I got some things to do. I got to get some stuff together because I want to sell some more stuff at the stockyard on Wednesday, because that Friday after the funeral, I'm taking her to Atlanta, Georgia to build this ramp. Anyway, she on trial and she testified. I don't remember Dennis waking me up, but I did. I talked to her and I told her what Josh was doing, and she said, well, he's got to pay for it because you can only order X-rated movies by paying it. And Josh said, well, I apologize. I'll pay for anything. She checked with the cable company, and he didn't order an X-ray show. He was watching a mature show that, you know, it no penetration, but they showed naked bodies and stuff. And I glanced and walked through it. I didn't know what it was. But anyway, she didn't have no bill to pay. Him and I, we leave. Now, we own surveillance security camera, but it's at nighttime at the break of day. I think they say something like 4:53 or whatever it was. You can't see your nose, your face, or anything, but the height, the weight, you can see the outline of the persons. Josh went out and got in the car. I threw Regina by, locked all the doors, and I left. And me and him drive off. We own that surveillance video, and this is one of the things that was pitiful about the trial. My lawyers promised me that they would get a court order and get the whole week of the trial. When the little boy was picked up in June, when the little boy was brought back in late September when his mom got out of prison and wanted him back, the lawyers didn't get none of that. Well, Tuesday, Josh and I go back to my house. We go to sleep. We wake up. I'm doing stuff in the backyard, getting my stuff together to go to the stockyard the next day. Josh walks off and leaves my house. Now, we ain't arguing, Mr. Rudy. We're not fighting. I had a discussion with the man because he's 23 years old, and he knew better than to do that. But in his mind, everybody's asleep. I'm in the living room, and ain't nobody bothering me, and I'm watching TV. I can do what I want. So I understood that. And anyway.
Okay, so Tuesday.
He left my house Tuesday on September the 6th.
Okay.
And this is the second time, and this is the last time I saw Josh with my own eyeballs. This is the last one he left. The grandmother called in the missing report and said he left on the Monday. When I talked to the detective for the very first time that Wednesday, I told him he hadn't been gone for 24 hours. He just left yesterday. And, well, we got reports he's been gone more than 48 hours, and I want to turn in a missing report on him. Will you cooperate with me? And I said, yes, I will. This is what he walked off with. He had a tank top and short breeches and tennis shoes, had a Walkman radio and a little bag under his arm. That's what he was wearing the last time I seen him. Just because 2 months later when they found him and he had different clothes on, don't mean I lied. The day he left my house, that's what he was wearing. It's
right.
That simple. That's the truth of it. Well, the grandmother, the lieutenant tells the grandmother, look, you should arrest Dennis. So she put a warrant out for her grandson. She put a warrant out for me. The police stopped me on the way to the funeral. And then this was a Friday morning, and I talked to the lieutenant on the Wednesday. I went to the stockyard. I sold the trailer. I sold some stuff. I got $600-something with the trailer, and plus the other odds and ends with the filing I had from my sister with the treatment thing. I had almost $2,000 on me. I leave and go to my parole officer. This is on a Wednesday. I think it's the 7th. And my parole officer's not there, but her supervisor, lieutenant, I said, look, my stepsister has a small job for me to do, build a ramp for this guy that's dying of AIDS. He can't get out of his wheelchair to roll up the steps. And it's across the state line. Now, I have standing permission to work in Florida and Mississippi without reporting. And then I've worked jobs at shipyards, and I go to the flea market and the stockyard almost every Wednesday, because that's the time they had it. I did it for 3 years and probably been over 120
1 minute
times
remaining.
in a 3-year period. So whenever the lieutenant said, look, Mr. Hicks, I've checked your record out and all. It's okay. You don't need a written permit. You can go up there. It might take me overnight. I might be up there 2 or 3 days. He said, that's okay. You notified us. I'm giving you permission. You can do this. So that was good enough for me. I left and told Regina, look, this is what the parole officer said. I can go up there, so get everything together. We'll make a picnic out of it. All right. The next day, which was a Thursday, my pastor, he called me over and said, Dennis, I want to let you know we're all hunting for Josh with you, because I didn't call him up. I didn't talk to him. And his grandmother's not the only ones putting up posters around town. I put up some posters too. I put them up at Chicxulub Park, the swimming hole that we went to. I put some up at Camellia Bowling Alley, which the grandmother had put them up all on the building. But the parking lot is so...
Call from
Dennis Hicks.
an inmate at
Pullman Correctional Facility, Alabama Department of Corrections.
your account balance is $5.25. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Okay, Mr. Rudy.
Got it. I'm here.
There were so many things going on that week that some of the highlights I shouldn't leave out. For instance, that Wednesday, my sister, I went to church and took the 2 kids, Regina, to Gateway Baptist Church. Wes Hall pastored that church in Saraland, and she asked me after the service, would I gather up family pictures of our brother-in-law that the funeral home has this machine deal where they highlight all the pictures during the service. You know, they bring them up where you can view a person's life in pictures. I said, sure, I'll do that. Well, that Tuesday night I went to my church. Whenever Josh walked off from my house, I went to Regina's house. At Regina's house, me and Regina and both her kids on surveillance camera where we clean up her yards. Any kind of trash, bricks, whatever. I put all kind of stuff on the end of the trailer where I had a lot of stuff that I was selling. But I dumped all the trash for her too. Well, at church that Tuesday night, I engaged in the pastor's daughter and about, I guess, 20 people, and asked them, look, this man left my house. We can't find him. If y'all see him and talk to him and hear about it, please call the pastor. Please call me. And everybody's looking for the young man. Well, Wednesday night, after my sister told me that she wanted me to do the pictures, remember now, all day Wednesday, I'm in Mississippi selling tools and stuff in the trailer. So I stopped at my probation officer. So now I'm all the way back at Regina's house. I stopped at my house and stuff too. And I believe somebody went in my house while I was gone. And I believe it was Josh. I can't prove it, but anybody that knows anything about their house, if things are moved and it's not sitting like just where you had it, be it a hammer, ink pen, or paper, whatever, things were moved. Well, I called his grandmother and said, look, Josh, I accused him of stealing some of my jewelry. Mother left me her wedding ring and stuff. I couldn't find it. It upset me. And anyway, I did find it. It wasn't a sock, but I had talked to her on the phone like 11 minutes, you know, telling her that, look, Josh, when he goes to her house to pick his stuff up to come back to my house, that all of this stuff about drama that he's bringing into my life it's not necessary. It's you know, it just was, it was a little bit of confusion there, the timeline with everything was going on. But Thursday morning, about 10, I went to the funeral home. Pinecrest Funeral Home in Dolphin Island is where my brother-in-law was buried, which is where most of my family's got a lot of family members, where my mother, my stepdad, and my sister and other members of my family buried there. So I took them all the pictures. I left, and my pastor called me. He said, Dennis, I want to talk to you. I've got time. Can you come over here? So I went over to my pastor's house, which his house is connected to the church. And he took me in his office, and he said, son, there's a lot going on. This is serious, more serious than you can believe or even think about, and this is what I want to tell you because I'm on your side, and there's words going around that you jumped on Josh and hurt him. I said, his name is Terry. So Brother Terry, and sometimes I call him Pastor, sometimes I call him Brother Terry. I've been knowing him for, at this time, 6 years, and been with him 5 years as a member of his church. And he said, well, Josh misinformed you. He lied because I told him that Josh told me that he defended the pastor's daughter. Well, the pastor had got him out of a police car one night at the church and wouldn't let the police or let the lady press charges on him and stuff. And he got his wife in there. She's a witness. Now, he's passed on, but she was in the interview conference, if you want to call it that. He brought his daughter. At this particular time, she's 17 years old. Her name is Angela McNeil. She come in there, and most of the kids call me Uncle Dennis. And she said, Uncle Dennis, my daddy said that I'm supposed to tell you the story of the episode of when Josh was arrested a couple of weeks ago before he moved in with you. And he called me a whore, and another guy stood up and told him to take it back, shut his mouth, and they exchanged licks, hit each other. I said, well, Josh told me that the other guy called you a name and he was protecting you. He said, no, Uncle Dennis, that's not the way it was. He called me the bad name. And my daddy didn't want him arrested, and they got him out of the patrol car and they squashed the deal. Well, Pastor Terry said, look, Dennis, this man is not stable. I said, what do you mean? He acts normal to me. He's smarter than some of these teenagers around here. He says, no, Dennis, he has a handicap. You can't tell it unless you really, really pay attention. But his grandmother says that he's really bad off. I don't think he's as bad as his grandma says, but he has episodes of anger and rage and stuff. I said, well, look, Pastor, God is my witness. Me and that man, I corrected him about masturbating in my sister's house, and that's the extent. It never come to a blow. It never come to a fist fight. It never come to a heated argument. In fact, I don't even think he left my premises, my house, because I counseled him, and we spoke of that. If he was mad about anything I'd done, he didn't say it. He didn't say, well, I don't appreciate you playing daddy or whatever. And anyway, my pastor said, Dennis, this is serious. We're going to find him, and we're going to get you out of this mess. But my advice to you is not keep him at your house no longer than you have to. I said, well, I've offered him a job next month, and he'll have enough money. And I told the pastor, he's already paid me $400 for the month of September. He gave me $200 out of his check, Social Security check that he got from his grandmother, and he gave me $200 out of the $375 that I bought from the trailer. So he's paid up for a month. He can come and go as he wants to at will. I gave him the key to my house and everything. He did leave the key to my house. He did put the key on the rail of the porch because he told me, man, you don't never lock your house. I ain't never had to use the key, so I don't want to keep up with it. Well, the pastor had counseled me that day. This is a Thursday. This is the 8th. I built some shelter shelves in a part of the children's part of the church, and I went back to Regina's house. But during that time between him walking off Tuesday early, I went to church that Tuesday night with only one child of Regina's, because we had worked in the yard. The little boy was tired and she was tired, so they stayed home. I took the little girl. We on video, DVD at the church, her singing in my arms on the microphone. The next day, Wednesday, like I said, I went to the stockyard in Mississippi. I went to the parole officer, come back, and I took Regina out to eat. We went over to the Gateway Baptist Church, and that was my sister Christine asked me about the pictures. Well, we left there. On the way from church to Regina's house, Regina said, do you think that young man everybody's looking for at Dennis, do you think he's over there at Chickasaw Park? Because people stay over there all night. They camp out there. It's a huge campsite with hundreds of places to camp out. I said, I don't know. It's on the way. You care if I stop by? Well, we pulled in there, and the gate thing for cars is closed. So it's like 2 or 3 miles to where the beach is and everything. And I got her 2 little kids and her, and it's night, probably 8:30, quarter 9 or something. I said, we'll do it later on, because I did put posters out for Josh at different locations. But the next morning, when I went home, I spent the night at Regina's house there. The next morning when I went home to get my suit to go to the funeral and the final stuff for the job in Atlanta, Georgia, 6 police cars surrounded me. They had guns drawn, but they didn't point the guns at me, Mr. Rudy, but they had them out of their holster with their hands on them. And, of course, I put my hand on the steering wheel. They come up, you, Mr. Hicks, yes, show me identification. Yes, step out of the car, check me down. Do you care if we check the car down? No, check the car down. All right, Mr. Hicks, we checking about a alleged trailer theft. Will you answer some questions at the police station? Yes, but I'm on my way to a funeral. It won't take but a minute. So I go down there. I show them the bill of sales, told them, because they talked to me about Josh before. I'm on the video, after the video, but I mentioned on the video that Josh was living with me temporarily until he got his own place, and that the trailer was at the residence where Josh used to live that was abandoned. Him and Savannah lived at the house, but because there were so many drug dealers or drug addicts there, they stole the water pipes for copper to sell the money. The electricity was cut out. It was an abandoned house where they lived. The grandmother didn't live there, had never lived there in her life, but she did own the property. It was in her name. When she got on the stand, she told the jury that I went to her house and stole her trailer. And that's not the truth. That's not what it was. And I asked her, before Josh even moved in with me, when Josh was trying to sell a trailer, did she have any objection to me buying a trailer from Josh? And Josh told her eyeball to eyeball, that's my trailer, Grandma. Josh's daddy committed suicide when Josh was a few years younger than what he was. Well, the trailer was given to Josh's daddy from his granddaddy. And Josh was like 3 years old or somewhere in that neighborhood when his granddaddy died. His granddaddy didn't say, Josh, this is your trailer. His granddaddy, and I asked the lawyers to get the last will and testament that it might have been in the will of different things that he gave different people in his family. Because his daddy wouldn't lie to his son that his granddaddy gave him the trailer when he didn't do it. His daddy had the trailer the whole time after his granddaddy had died. The grandmother never had possession of the trailer at all. So it was a stink about the ownership of the trailer. But in good faith, I bought the trailer, and a half dozen people was witnesses to the trailer. Mary Ann Lambert signed that she saw Josh sign it, and I signed it. In front of her, she saw me give him the $375. So you have to understand now, the reason this is so important, Mr. Rudy, is that I'm striving to get a pardon clemency from Haley Barber, the governor of Mississippi. This is a 30-plus year goal. Any type of violation, any type of a petty, under $100 will block my clemency, and if they want to violate my parole, put me in prison for a life sentence. So I'm not stealing anything. That's not why I don't steal. The magnitude of the trailer issue is the punishment will be so severe if I did steal something that it would be putting my whole life on the line. I live a godly Christian life. God delivered me from lying, cheating, and stealing as a teenager. He saved me. I can't remember the last time I ever stole something. It's a good 25 years or better. But I used to be a thief. Used to lie. Used to do drugs, smoke weed, and stuff as a teenager. But God delivered me from all of that. But the district attorney tells the jury, Mr. Hicks a drug addict. Yeah, I smoked weed when I was a teenager. But I've had over 400-something drug tests. The whole 25 years that I was in prison, which I've become a statewide trustee, went through all kinds of speaking engagements, talked to hundreds of thousands of children and promise keepers, sometimes 40, 50 students, or 200 or 300, or get together 4 or 5 students will come to the penitentiary ground. Well, both states, I had a dual status. When Mom sent me back to Mobile, Alabama to care for her in 2005, Mississippi gave me drug tests, told people my job, give me drug tests. I come to Alabama, I become a ship fitter and worked in all kinds of shipyards and stuff. They give you a regular drug test. My parole officers give me monthly drug tests, and sometimes they give me random checks. They will come at your house or your job or wherever and give you a drug test. Well, after the 6.5 years, I had a recommendation from my parole officer to receive my pardon. They said that my outstanding conduct, my behavior for the prior 6 years had been within all the guidelines, and they recommend that any leniency that Mississippi wanted to give me was appropriate with them. I wouldn't have stolen the trailer if it had been a $1 million trailer, and I could have got away with it. It wasn't in my psyche. It wasn't in my mind. I just don't steal. So when the grandmother got on the witness stand and said all of this stuff, it shocked me, because I've done thousands of dollars free labor for this lady and didn't charge her a dime. When she called on the phone and told me, she said, I have word that my grandson sold you that trailer. I said, yes, ma'am, I've got a bill of sale. She said, well, you stole it. I said, I haven't stolen it. She said, if you don't bring me $1,500 within 3 days, I'm going to have you arrested. Well, this sent alarm bells off for me, Mr. Rudy, because this is a Wednesday. And it said, look, don't do that. I'm going to come over to your house with my pastor, and we're going to work this out. Well, bless her heart, it wasn't 15 minutes later. She might have been at the police station. I might have been on recorded phone at the police station when I told her that I bought the trailer and had a bill of sales for the trailer, and that I would never steal anything from her. They picked me up 2 days later. Like I say, police surrounded me. I went over there. They arrested me. I didn't get to go to my brother-in-law's funeral.
Why do you think she would lie about that? And if you had the bill of sale, couldn't they look at the signature of Josh and see that it was his handwriting?
She said Josh couldn't read and write, but he finished high school. She said Josh was a mentally retarded person and that he lived with her whole life. But that's not true. He's not mentally retarded. He hadn't lived with her his whole life. He lived with his mom at least 2 times in Texas, and he lived with his aunt, and he lived with Savannah. The first time I ever met him, he was living with his sister. But she told the police all this, I guess, because when her and Josh and I agreed that Josh would come live with me, that I would help him get his independence, it was only for a few weeks or a month or 2 at the most. And I once suggested food stamps to Josh because I knew people that were struggling and they could get assistance. He could get $200 worth of food to help him get over on, stand on his own 2 feet. And he said, yeah, and I want to change my check. His grandmother said, no, you don't mess with that. But he did. He asked me to take him to the SS office, and I did. And they did call her and tell her, Mr. Duncan has requested a change of address for his checks to be forwarded to him at this address, which was mine. Well, my pastor told me this. Dennis, you upset the woman. She's madder than a hen. I've talked to her. Now that she's got you arrested and everything, ain't nothing. She's not going to back out of this. best you can do is get your evidence. And I did. I got individuals go down there and to my parole officer and said, this man tried to sell the trailer, and Dennis bought him in front of us, and he paid him, and this was like the 9th trailer in the 4.5-year period. And I had permission to buy and sell stuff.
So then
she went to the judge, and she told the judge, Your Honor, I don't believe Mr. Hicks stole the trailer, so I'm reinstating him. And the judge gave me a bond, so I got out on the 23rd of September. I stayed 11 days in the jail. Josh is walking around. Steve Waite and his wife talked to Josh. He knew Josh, been knowing Josh for years. Jason Victor was in a wreck where Josh was driving like 5 years prior to that. The man that hit Josh in the head a year and a half prior, he was a witness to the fight that Josh went to the hospital, and he had threatened Josh's life. And that was way before I ever come on the scene or anything, but there was other prime suspects in this young man's life. But when Lieutenant Peake found out that I was registered on a life sentence from Mississippi, it was a done deal with him. He went to the extremes, sir, and fabricated so many lies that he picked the 3-year-old, and he told the whole law enforcement, the whole community, the whole district attorney that this boy told him he saw a killing, and the boy is not even in Alabama. The police made it up and put it on the boy. And I'm sitting on death row for that. No link whatsoever with any kind of violence, any kind of nothing. All the forensics tests done at Regina's house come back negative. It was no fight, no violence. All the forensics evidence
remain
at the crime scene come back no link for me, none whatsoever. It wasn't me.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible case, Dennis. We're going to run out of time here, and I may not have money to put back on until next Friday. But continue to write me letters. I'll write you letters. Is there anything that we can do in the meantime, in the time that we have, or is there anything that you would ask people to do in whatever time we have left?
Yes, I appreciate people praying, and this is a joint corporate prayer, an agreement that we want the desire in the results. We've already got God declaring in heaven that he's going to exonerate me. So we're thanking God that my judges here in the appeal court is going to reverse my case sometime this year. What I'm praying and asking people to pray with me for is somebody to step up in the body of Christ in Chicago or in Mobile or both places and help me preserve the factual, absolute truth of where this